In this video, I'm going to be going over how to mask a file that's inside of your file share. There are a couple of things we need to do ahead of time before we get to the masking portion. The most obvious is obviously you have to have a Microsoft Azure account and set up the necessary configurations for your file share, which is outside of the scope of this video, but there are plenty of tutorials by Microsoft that are out there. But once you have your file share all set up and ready, we need to in turn mount that file share onto your local PC. It's basically going to be like a network drive, so it's going to look like a directory on your file share as normal. And the way that's done is through a protocol called SMB. If you are worried about encryption, because you're transferring basically sensitive information through the internet from your file share to your local PC, if you use SMB protocol 3.0 or higher, it will be encrypted. And also you can even specify within your file share, or I believe not in your file share, but maybe in your storage account, specific configurations so that you can specify what protocol version you need to use and also specific algorithms. But again, that's a little bit outside of the scope of this since it's more configuration about Microsoft Azure and less about the masking. But as we can see here, I have a file share called Share1. I have a directory called raw files, which is going to contain my customers 2 file, and that's just going to be to make it easy for comparison, so that way we can mask this afterwards. And here is the customer 2 file, which what we're going to be masking, which is just a CSV. So here we're going to select connect, and if you go far to the right, you're going to see some specific information. So here it's talking about the SMB clients, saying that you need to use a protocol version 3 or higher in order to handle the encryption requirements. And we have these 3: Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. I'm going to be using a Windows VM that's actually inside of Azure just to make it easy for this demonstration. You can specify a drive letter and method of authentication. Now in this example, I'm just going to be using the storage key. What's the storage key is going to give you a script. And basically what this script is going to do is going to test your connection to the computer or to where your file share is located through port 445. So meaning that you need to have that port 445 open and available in your environment in order to use this. So once that is all set and ready to go, what we're going to do is now we're going to go into my VM and we're going to pull up the Windows PowerShell ISE. I just like it simply because you can paste what you need to run on the very top and make edits and then run it down below and you'll be able to see it in the console. So that script that you can copy, you can paste it up here, and it's going to show you that it's going to be testing the connection at the very beginning, and if everything goes through, it'll pass along your credentials and then mount that file share into the specific drive letter that you gave it. So I'm going to hit play. Yours is going to look slightly different. The only reason why mine was able to add successfully, but it's just saying that I already have the Z drive already in use. But when you run this, you should see something different. It should say credential added successfully. And the best way to double check is just to go into your file system. And in your file system, you scroll all the way down because mine was called Share1. You should see Share1 popping up. It's on the letter Z. That's what was I selected. And that's by default. As you can see here, I can see customer 2. And inside of raw files, I can see the original file. So this is basically just going to be like a directory in your file system. So now that we have those 2 up and available, then we're going to talk about using FieldShield to then mask that said file. Now we have 2 options. We're talking about just a single file. What you can do is just do a new masking job. We're going to create a script, so we're going to go next. We're going to add a data source. Since it's a file, we're going to hit browse, and we're going to go to file share, and we're going to select on customers 2. And I already noticed that it's a CSV format by the extension, so we're going to hit OK. And the most important thing is to know the structure of that file. So let's discover the metadata I already have one, but I'm going to show you the process. It's going to try to detect the field layouts. We're going to say yes. We're going to specify that the get the field names from the header row. Yes. I'm just going to say that we don't need a frame because we could put everything in quotes, and the separators in commas since it's CSV. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit next. And as you can see, it broke it up, first name, last name, purchase date, and we're going to hit finish. We're going to hit yes, so then it can place the field for us, and then we're going to go to next. Next is going to be the target. Now, if we're going to be masking in place, which that's what we're doing, we're just going to be selecting that same path. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to hit finish. Obviously, you can select a different path, and all that's going to do is just create that file and paste it to the new location that you need it to be in. And we're going to hit finish. And by hitting finish, it assumes that we're using the same structure of the input. So that's why we see this here. What we could also do if we go here to IRI, and if we do edit targets and target field layout, we can apply some rules here. So we can just do browse, and we're going to add like FPE, hit OK and finish. And here it's going to be applying a rule. Now that works if you just have one file, but let's say you have a directory of files, then what we can do is come over here to the discovery menu and do a directory data class search. Now this is going to be using the data class in the data class library. If you're not familiar with what those terminologies are, we do have a video that basically shows you what the data classes are, how to set them up for masking. So I would recommend watching that video and then coming back to this section. We're going to go to next. All this saying is it includes LAN drives, or if the data is vertical, it's not, so we're not going to select those. And then since it's the Z drive that we were speaking on, and we're going to hit OK. Next. There's nothing that we're going to exclude, and we're just going to use our data class and hit finish. So here is our data class map. It's just going to show us what was in the Z drive and show us what are the results. So if we're happy with that, last name is going to get FPE, credit card's going to get FPE, email is going to get FPE. We're just going to create the scripts. So we're going to go to IRI, select the second option for files. And since we're going to be masking in place, we're just going to hit same. We use those data classes. That's the file that we want to mask, and we're going to hit finish. And here, what you should see is a new class protection folder that popped up. And you're going to see the same CSV file that's going to be masked. And now we have a couple more rules in the script. And as you can see, the out file information is pretty simple. It's just the directory path. So it's just a path to where the file is. And we only have one, but if we had multiple scripts that we're using to mask files, it'll create a batch file for you so you can run it at once. So we're just going to hit run as and batch program. Says the job has ended. So what we can do here inside is we're going to open this up. And let me grab what's inside the raw files. And put them side by side. So as you can see on the first line, it's going to be a little difficult to put them side by side, but first line we use format preserving encryption, so that's what you see down here below. We didn't touch the first name. Further down along, we see just gibberish for the email, but it was at AT&T.gov. This was also encrypted. So it just still keeps the format of the email, but obviously changes everything else, and only the, the special characters remain. But it did mask our values here. And most importantly, if we minimize this and we go to my other system, let's go and let's hit refresh just to make sure everything's good. What we can do is see some of this properties information. So we can see it was just edited at 12:42:05, which was just what we did right now. And if I want to download this, you can see that the changes we made affected my files in the cloud. So any things that we made changes to the network drive that I just showed you earlier will affect your file system or your files that are in your file share. But that is a general overview of the process. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.